I know you were named after former Cowboys quarterback Craig Morton. Compared to your playing career, who is the better quarterback, Craig Morton with the Cowboys or yourself with Hardin Simmons under center?
They recruited me as a quarterback when they figured I couldn't see over the offensive line. They said, just go to the other side of the ball, get everybody lined up, go run and hit people, and we'll be fine.
Were you okay with that move?
I was fine with that. I'm a team guy. I get it. Reality sometimes is a hard dose to take, and I learned at an early age, you better take some reality.
You grew up in Texas. How big of a Longhorns fan were you?
About the biggest there can be. Since I was probably 4 or 5 years old, I'm at every home football game till I graduated from high school. My mom would bring me and a buddy usually, or if it was a big game, my dad came. And UConn was a big game enough, my dad was coming. But 4 or 5 years old until I graduated from high school, if there's a home game, I was here. Saw some tremendous games.
You're in charge of safeties and special teams here. Let's start with the first group there, safeties. I had a long time ago one very famous Texas high school football coach tell me he would take his best athletes and put them back at safety. What do you look for in your ideal safety?
The basics you always look for: range, toughness, leadership, guys that can communicate. In games today, you know, it's rapid offense, it's crowd noise, all the things that you've got to be able to talk and communicate, and leadership comes into that. And there's kind of an it factor of when you go recruit a safety, a coach will essentially say, Coach, he just does some stuff we can't coach. Michael Huff, an example, a guy that did some stuff you just probably wasn't coached. His awareness is unbelievable. And then ability to run, have range, and just toughness. Guys that like to strike over and over and take pride in it. I think that's important.
Keep an eye on Brandon Jones, number 19 for Texas. He's got a block punt on the season, almost 2. And he gets it third! He got his third, and Brandon Jones comes calling again.
A guy like Brandon Jones was an elite recruit a year ago. What does he bring to the table?
The experiences I've had with Brandon right now, I really like. He brings energy, he brings excitement. He's a guy that wants to work. He's got a skill set there that we can build upon. He can run, he's intelligent. Now we can build upon that and get him to where we would like him to be and where he'd like himself to be. If you come to Texas to play in the secondary, your goal should be, I'm coming here to win championships and win the Thorpe. And if you're here for neither one of those two reasons, you shouldn't be here. And he has that mindset. I like that.
I don't even know if Tom Herman would be here if it wasn't for you. If memory serves me correctly, about a decade ago, a little more, at Texas State, David Bailiff is the head coach, and he's looking for a new offensive coordinator, and he's going to go with somebody else. And according to Bailiff, you're practically jumping up and down on the table. You were on his staff saying, you got to bring over this kid, Tom Herman from Sam Houston State. He had never been a coordinator, but you pushed so hard for him to become the offensive coordinator. Bailiff finally relented, and he said if it wasn't for Craig, I wouldn't have brought in Herman. The rest is history. What stood out to you back then about Tom Herman where you said we have to get this guy?
Well, I think there's 2 points I want to make on that. A lot of people give me credit, hey, you've helped Tom in his career, this, that, and the other. I was just the go-between. Everything Tom did to that point got him that job. I was just a guy that jumped up and down about it. But extremely innovative, is extremely smart in aspects of not only just X's and O's, but I saw the relationships he built with his players, how hard he got them to play. And with that intelligence, with that bond he built with his players, and then the it factor that's just you just kind of sense in a recruit or anything else, I thought this sky's the limit. And the other thing that really impressed me about him as a receiver coach, he still adhered to the tenets of you win football games not by catching a bunch of balls. It's by running the football, being tough and physical, and that's the baseline component of it, which really impressed me about him. But I think unfairly get too much credit for all that. He worked his tail off to get to that position, not just me saying, hey, bring this guy in.
I've also heard stories when the staff moved to Rice, Bailiff would say he would yell at Tom Herman because as coordinator there, at times he was busy skateboarding around the stadium, and Bailiff said, that's enough. Has this guy always kind of marched to the beat of his own drum?
A lot of that is him being himself, not trying to change. This is the persona of what a offensive coordinator should be. This is not the exact persona of what a head coach should be. When you try to be someone else in anything you do, people see through that. And he's just being genuine.
Craig's got an extensive background in special teams. He was a special teams coordinator at Kentucky, was a special teams coordinator at Texas State, at Sam Houston State, and so he'll be really, really important as we progress here to make sure that our special teams units are some of the best in the country.
We talked about safeties earlier. What about special teams now, which you're also in charge of? I mean, this is a unit over the past few years at Texas that has struggled in the kicking game, a lot of extra points and field goals blocked, and struggled to have a big return in either the punt return game or kick return. How much of a challenge is it turning that unit around?
Our head football coach sits in every kicking meeting. He's in the front row. He coaches a position on every big four unit: punt, punt return, kickoff, kickoff return. He coaches an individual position. So there's buy-in the team sees. They see the value. We place in our plan to win, in our makeup of what it takes to win a football game, the field position, battlefield field position is critical. And in selling that to our young men, it's maybe not so much the message, it's the sell of it, how important it is. The other unique thing about teams is you're basically presenting the culture of your football program. How you cover kickoffs is a great barometer for the culture of your program.
Have you seen it at other schools or opponents, whoever it may be, special teams get overlooked for the sake of offense and defense?
I think that's an easy trap to fall into. It really is. When you sit there and say, well, we've worked our tail off, we've installed these schemes, we've done this, and they just kind of take care of themselves. They don't. It requires heavy maintenance, just like your offense and defensive schemes do. You've got to be aggressive with it. Tom does a tremendous job of being aggressive in the kicking game. He doesn't flinch to run a fake punt. When you're up against the number 3 team in the country, let's go do it. Let's continue to push forward and do that. And the other unique thing I really like about this coaching staff and mentality in teams comes from Coach McKnight in the weight room. They're a fast, physical football place, and he's the best in the country at getting guys faster and physical and tougher that can help translate into what happens on again, 4 to 5 second exchange of 40, 50, 60 yards.
It seems like this coaching staff has gone to great lengths to pay attention to detail in every aspect of the game. Is that something just ingrained in you all and you're subconsciously doing it, or you're very aware that every little aspect needs to be taken care of?
I think it's ingrained in all of us. It comes from the top down. It's what Tom always talks about as far as alignment in doing that. But there's no such thing as don't sweat the small stuff. Small stuff becomes big pretty quickly. So you've got to attack and address everything. And it also ties back into Tom's plan. Best I've ever been around as far as a head football coach having a hard, fast plan. And the only people that can screw that up are the people that are implementing the plan. And if you let little things slide, so to speak, or not as detail-oriented, eventually, those become bigger problems.
How much of a dream come true is this?
Can't really put it into words. When you sit back and you kind of get started in the profession and you kind of say, what's a goal of mine? What do I really want to do? And people kind of ask you, what's your 5-year, 10-year, what do you want to do? This was it. And it's really cool to say that I'm in a situation that I worked my tail off to get into. It's also the realization that, okay, you got to go to work. You got to get stuff done here. This may sound corny, but this isn't a job. This is personal, and I'm excited about that.